Panic took hold of Shangu's face as the chaos around him escalated. The other soldiers, finally snapping out of their own shock, began to flee in all directions. But there was no safe path. Spiders weren't the only threat anymore. New creatures, monstrous and grotesque, descended from the sky. They resembled flies, twisted, oversized versions, their wings buzzing with a sound that froze blood. Frantically, the soldiers rushed toward the cars scattered nearby, climbing in, slamming doors, screaming orders. But the monsters kept coming. It was like a nightmare come alive. Some soldiers, despite their desperation, couldn't make it. One man stumbled, looked back, and froze. A massive beast dropped from above, pinning him down with a wet, sickening crunch. He screamed, struggling under the monster's crushing weight. But behind him were more, dozens, maybe hundreds, of skittering horrors. No one dared help him. Another soldier tripped over a cobblestone, falling hard. He tried to crawl, but his body trembled uncontrollably. Fear had completely paralyzed him. A shadow loomed over him. Too late. A splatter of blood burst into the air as a monster lunged. But before the thing could finish him off, a flash of steel cut through the chaos, Shangu's knife, slicing straight through the beast's throat. It dropped, twitching, and the young man quickly checked on the soldier he had saved. But the man's eyes had rolled back, foam frothing at the corners of his mouth. Without wasting a moment, Shangu heaved the limp body onto his shoulders and sprinted toward the nearest car. The vehicles were nearly full, soldiers yelling, engines revving, but Shangu shoved the man into the back seat. The jolt of impact snapped the soldier out of his daze, and Shangu barked, "Drive." He grabbed the passenger door, ready to jump in, but Yang Xiaojin blocked him, her gun raised again. His breath caught. But she wasn't aiming at him. With a deafening bang, she fired, hitting a monster that had been right behind Shangu. Its body dropped with a wet thud. Shangu stared at her, unsure whether to feel thankful or threatened. She stared back coldly. "Get in," she ordered. They both jumped into the car just as more monsters swarmed around them. The rescued soldier fumbled at the controls, barely functioning. But there was no time to wait. "Drive! Now!" Shangu roared, slamming a hand on the dashboard. As if shaken. Awake by the sheer force of the moment, the driver stomped the pedal. The car lunged forward, but then a monster landed directly on the windshield, blocking the view with its disgusting, alien body. Shangu and Yang Xiaojin worked in sync, knives slashing, guns firing. The beast shrieked and slid off the hood. Finally, the car broke free, racing away from the monsters swarming behind them. In the rearview mirror, the spider horde faded into dust. Shangu breathed hard, clutching the door, heart pounding. They made it. Yang Xiaojin, watching him out of the corner of her eye, seemed quietly impressed by his strength. She glanced at the driver slumped beside her. Shangu had carried that man while outrunning monsters. The soldier behind the wheel looked back, eyes wide. "You saved my life," he said quietly. "I'll repay you. I swear it." A soft chime echoed in Shangu's mind. Gratitude coin +1, 74 of 100. The car sped deeper into the gorge, 3 survivors, 1 vehicle, and no guarantee of what waited ahead. Just after the driver's promise to repay him, Shangu hears the soft chime again. Gratitude coin +1, 75 of 100. He tries to hide his smirk, brushing off the moment with a dry laugh. But beside him, Yang Xiaojin narrows her eyes. She clearly isn't amused. Her gaze lingers coldly on the protagonist, and for a moment, the air feels heavier. Shangu senses the weight of her suspicion. "I should stop drawing attention," he thinks grimly. "Too many good deeds, and someone might start asking how I'm pulling them off. But the damage is done." Despite the tension, the expedition manages to escape the canyon. Shangu, despite everything, saves more than 10 people. Another notification flashes in his mind, +1 strength point acquired. It surprises him. Even the palace rewards choices now? That's unsettling. The system, it seems, is watching too closely. The truck rumbles through the gorge's exit, passing jagged rock faces and shattered cliff walls. The terrain opens up, and that's when the driver slows the car. Bones. Dozens of them. Human. Strewn across the gorge like brittle autumn leaves. Shangu swallows hard. The memory of those monsters flashes in his mind, those insect things with human faces. They weren't just killing people, he mutters. They were eating their souls. The others say nothing. Eventually, the vehicles grind to a halt. Shangu steps out and scans the scene. Only 11 people remain. Too many gone, one soldier mutters, voice barely audible. A second soldier, his face pale with panic, blurts out, "We have to go back. We should never have come here." But another snaps, "There's no going back, we'd just die in the gorge again." Tension boils. Shouts rise. Fingers point. The commander silences them all with a sharp bark. "Enough. Rest while you can. We return through the gorge tomorrow if we'd lucky enough to survive it again." But Luo Shinu, quiet until now, speaks. Her voice cuts through the stillness. "What was the real purpose of this expedition to Mount Jing?" she asks evenly. The question stabs through the moment like a blade. Shangu turns his head slightly. The air thickens. The commander glares at her. Suspicion. Irritation. Fear. Another soldier echoes her question, but the commander's voice turns cold. "I don't owe you answers. You're not my brothers. We're strangers on a suicide march." Shango leans against the back of the truck. Jaw tight. His mind races. So many dead, and still no one knows why they came. His eyes drift to Luo Shinu. She's not as innocent as she seems, he realizes. That one question, it lit the fuse. A shadow crosses his vision. It's Yang Xiao Jin. She stops near him. "I'm hungry," she says flatly. The remark grates on Shangu's nerves. "You're not my girlfriend," he mutters under his breath. But her response is even sharper. "Return the knife." Her hand drifts toward her gun. Shangu raises a brow. "Fine. Let's eat." She smirks slightly. They decide to cook the mouse. Apparently, she managed to snatch food during the insect swarm. He offers a nod of grudging respect. Together, they prepare what little they have. Soon, smoke rises from the pan. Meat sizzles. The aroma of cooked food drifts through the camp. The other soldiers, tense, bitter, lost, quiet down. One by one, heads turn toward the fire. For a moment, the arguing stops. As Shangu cuts the final bits of meat, he looks down at the rest of the mouse. Useless now. With a sigh, he tosses the leftover carcass aside. Gasps follow. One soldier steps forward, incredulous. "What are you doing?" "That was still food." "If you want it," Luo Shinu says coldly, "go pick it up." The soldier stares at the remains and shakes his head, pale. "No. I'm not eating that." Silence returns. The fire crackles. 11 survivors. One half-cooked rodent. And no one knows what tomorrow holds. As the soldiers silently gather around the campfire, trying to make peace with the warmth and the stench of roasting rodent, Shangu breaks the silence. "You know," he says, voice casual but tinged with irony, "a lot of people behind the wall pay good money to eat birds' nests." A few soldiers glance at him, confused. "I'm talking about swallows," he continues. "They build those fancy little nests out of spit and twigs. Tastes like wet paper. And who knows what diseases those birds carry." The soldier nearest to him, spoon halfway to his mouth, freezes. A flicker of irritation crosses his face. Shangu shrugs, tossing a glance toward the still smoking mouse bones. Compared to that, a mouse isn't the worst thing you've eaten. No one argues. The silence that follows is tense but oddly peaceful, broken only by the low crackle of flames and the occasional groan of hunger from one of the troops. Time passes. Shangu leans back slightly, recalling something. "I should have a basic skill copy scroll left." He thinks, fingers brushing the edge of his inventory pouch. He opens his interface and tries to request skill data from Yang Xiao Jin through the palace system. Access denied, target skill visibility restricted. He frowns. "I've accessed her skill profile before," he argues mentally. "Why block it now?" He asks the palace again for just the level of her skills. Yang Xiao Jin, skill tier, advance the word sting. His fists tighten slightly in his lap. "So she's stronger than me, how officially. But those are refined, polished skills," he reasons. "Mine are born from surviving hell." He smirks bitterly. "No way she beats me in a real fight." With a sigh, he activates the basic skill copy scroll. Copied skill, efficient pebble sorting, passive utility. "Seriously," he mutters aloud. Before he can reflect further, Yang Xiao Jin glances at him. "How's the meat?" Shangu looks up and forces a smile. "In the wasteland, you cook food and boil water longer. Especially when you don't want to die in your sleep." He pokes the sizzling meat with a stick. "It's done now." Right on cue, the sound of growling stomachs fills the air. The other soldiers glance over, eyes locked on the cooked food. The commander steps forward. Anyone still hiding rations? He asks gruffly. Silence. Shangu's grin widens. No one's going to admit it. Not after everything. The commander's eyes narrow. He turns to Shangu. Then since you seem to know how to survive, you'll be in charge of food tomorrow. New task received, acquire rations for the unit, reward pending. Shangu sighs and rises slowly, still holding a skewer of cooked meat. He looks around deliberately, then points at one of the men across the fire. He says calmly. I saw you hide food in the back of the truck earlier. The entire group turns to the accused soldier. The commander steps forward, palm open. Hand it over. But the soldier doesn't move. Then, rage flares in his eyes. Without warning, he yanks a sidearm from his belt and levels it at the commander. The fire's glow dances across his furious expression. You don't give orders to me, he growls. This is my food. You think you can just take it? The commander freezes. A hush falls over the camp. Shangu steps slightly to the side, quietly calculating the distance between himself and the gunman. But the commander doesn't retaliate. He lifts his hand slowly, voice low and even. We're all trying to survive here. If we work together, we might actually make it out. The gunman's jaw tightens. Another soldier speaks up, trying to mediate. Let's look for food together in the morning. No one's saying we'll take everything. But the man holding the gun shakes his head. And if we don't find anything? Then what? You expect me to starve while you eat off me? His eyes flicker around at the others. Paranoia. Desperation. He doesn't lower the weapon. And before anyone else can speak. Out of the corner of his eye, Shangu caught a blur of motion, the commander suddenly lunging forward. With a sharp, precise kick, the captain's boot slammed into the rebel soldier's stomach, sending him flying. The force of the blow was enough to throw the man off balance. He crashed to the ground with a grunt but stubbornly kept his pistol raised, trembling slightly as he fought to rise. Breath heaved from his lungs. His face twisted in fury, hatred, and disbelief. Before anyone could move, a chilling shift occurred in the air. One of the other soldiers, who'd remained quiet until now, suddenly lunged toward the commander from behind, knife gleaming under firelight. The commander turned just in time, eyes wide in genuine shock. But he didn't raise a hand. He didn't need to. From his shadow, a dark creature exploded forth, shapeless at first, then solidifying into a twisted, shadowy mirror of the commander himself. It moved fast. Too fast. With inhuman fluidity, the creature intercepted the assailant's strike, redirecting the knife, slamming it back into the attacker's own abdomen. Gasps rang out around the fire. The man screamed and dropped, clutching his bleeding gut. Then, another shot rang out. The man who had hoarded the food had managed to fire his pistol, but the shadow creature moved again, standing between him and the commander. The bullets tore forward but collided against the dense, black form with a metallic clang, deflecting off like they'd hit steel. One by one, they dropped to the ground, glowing slightly red from the friction. No one moved. No one breathed. Even Shangu sat frozen, stunned. That wasn't a skill. That was a real superpower. He turned his head toward Yang Xiaojin. She was still sitting beside him, calmly chewing a piece of cooked meat, eyes half-lidded, showing no reaction at all. Typical. The firelight flickered across the commander's still form. The two shadow duplicates stood flanking him in perfect silence. For a moment, he looked almost like a god standing before mortals. Then, the shadows dissolved into wisps of black mist, vanishing into the night. The commander exhaled and lowered his head. His voice was firm, but low. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I just wanted to stop this before it turned into a massacre. No one replied. Shangu and Yang Xiaojin quietly returned to their seats. The injured man on the ground groaned, writhing in pain. Blood seeped from the stab wound in his abdomen, soaking the dirt beneath him. The commander turned toward Shangu. Check his wound. Without a word, Shangu got up and approached. He knelt beside the man, gently pushing back his shirt to inspect the gash. Deep, he muttered. Clean entry. But not fatal. The wounded man's eyes flickered open. His face was pale with pain. How long do I have? The commander answered before Shangu could. I didn't hit anything vital. Then he looked down at the protagonist again. Shangu, use your medicine. Heal him. Shangu hesitated for a moment, just a breath. Then he reached into his pouch, pulling out a compact medical pack wrapped in cloth. He opened it slowly. As Shangu knelt beside the wounded man, he didn't reach for his medicine immediately. Instead, he straightened, crossed his arms, and looked up at the commander. "I was hired as a guide," he said coolly. "Not your personal medic. You want my supplies? Then pay for them." The commander narrowed his eyes. "I lost my wallet during the ambush." Shangu didn't flinch. "Not my problem." A sudden thought crossed his mind. With a smirk, he reached into the injured soldier's jacket, and sure enough, found a pouch of crumpled bills. Well, he muttered. Looks like he was holding out. He waved the cash with mock cheerfulness. Payment accepted. From nearby, Luo Xinu stepped forward. "I've got a sewing kit," she offered, casually. The commander nodded. "Stitch him up." As she knelt to help, the commander crouched beside the fire, gaze distant. His voice came low and measured, almost thoughtful. A long time ago, there were traces of civilization in this region, before the cataclysm. We were sent by the higher-ups to mark the paths through these mountains, to prep for future expeditions to the ruins. He paused. "But when I came here, I realized something. These mountains hide more than just ruins. There are secrets buried here. Things the higher-ups probably never wanted to face." He looked around, his voice quieter. "I changed my mind. I'm not going back behind the wall. It's more dangerous there now. Especially after what happened earlier." His meaning was clear, his superpowers had been exposed. There was no return for someone like him. He scanned the soldiers. "You've seen what's out here. You've seen what's following us. If any of you still want to go back, I won't stop you. But if you want to live, you follow me." A brief silence followed. Then Yang Xiaojin stepped forward, licking the last of her food from her fingers. "I'm coming," she said simply. "Too dangerous to go alone." Another soldier nodded. "Best way to stay alive is to follow the guy who can summon shadows." One by one, hands began to rise. The commander gave a short nod of approval. Then Luo Xinu, standing by the fire, looked at Shangu. "I'll go too, if he goes." Shangu raised an eyebrow, and then lazily raised his hand. The group was decided. "Good," the commander said. "We move at dawn." He turned to the vehicles. "We'll abandon the cars. There's forest ahead. We go on foot." He looked at the wounded soldier still lying on the ground. "Someone will carry him." Before anyone else could speak, Shangu stepped forward. "I'll do it," he said, surprising everyone. "I could use the arm workout." The soldiers blinked, unsure whether to be impressed or suspicious. With the help of another soldier, Shangu hoisted the wounded man onto a makeshift stretcher. They moved together into the dense forest. The commander walked alongside, stealing glances at Shangu, his brows furrowed. He didn't understand what the young man was playing at, too helpful, too calm. But Shangu didn't care. He tended the wounded man's bandages gently, professionally. And with every groan of relief, with every whispered thank you, he felt the weight in his palm, the tingle of another gratitude coin forming. Click! Another one. He grinned to himself. This was easier than he thought. Shangu was quietly satisfied. So that's how it's done, he thought smugly, glancing down at the gratitude coin in his hand. Play the hero, earn a thank you. Easy. Without breaking pace, the group pushed deeper into the forest. It had only been a year since Shangu was last here, but the change was jarring. The trees had grown taller, their branches thicker and denser, like the forest had been feeding off something unnatural. Suddenly, a shout broke through the rustle of leaves. Shangu turned around sharply, just in time to see one of the soldiers looming over Luo Xinu, backing her against a tree. She was clearly uncomfortable, adjusting her clothes as she stepped away from him. Before Shangu could intervene, a cold click cut through the air. Yang Xiaojin had appeared behind the soldier, a pistol jammed directly into the back of his skull. The soldier's hands flew up immediately in surrender. Yang's tone was calm but lethal. "His gun's yours now, Shangu." Shangu blinked in surprise. "Mine?" For a moment, his face lit up with unrestrained glee. Without hesitation, he dropped the stretcher and bolted toward the man, snatching the weapon from its holster like a kid grabbing candy. He turned it over in his hands, admiring the craftsmanship with reverence. The disarmed soldier hissed, "You think a vagrant like him can use that?" But his words fell flat. Shangu was already expertly checking the sights, the weight, the chamber. He knew guns, and it showed. Yang Xiaojin narrowed her eyes at the soldier. "You want to test that theory," she said, her tone sharp. He didn't. He turned and disappeared into the woods. Yang crossed her arms and tilted her head toward Shangu. Who? I'll admit it, you're not bad with weapons. From a distance, the commander had watched the whole exchange in silence. He now stepped forward, eyes locked on Shangu. You're resourceful, he said. Can you find food for the squad? Shangu shrugged. I can't just summon boars out of thin air. As if on cue, a loud crack echoed through the trees, followed by a heavy thud. The squad turned toward the sound. Lying a few meters away was a wild boar, unconscious at the base of a tree, a small trickle of blood on its snout. Everyone stared. Shangu turned his head slowly, eyes narrowing. That little brat again? He could practically feel his younger brother's distant wish shaping the world around him.